Hi, I'm Kesenya, and thank you so much for joining me for this series looking at Jupiter's transits through each house of the horoscope. It is lovely to have you with me. I especially want to welcome all the people who are viewing this who are new to astrology. I hope this video helps you learn more and understand more about how astrology operates and the effects of astrology in your life. And also welcome back to those of us who are a little bit more seasoned in our knowledge of astrology. It's a pleasure to have you here as well. Hopefully, if you are more seasoned in astrology, you'll be able to help out those who leave comments in the comments section looking for answers and asking questions. So thank you for helping and supporting me in that endeavor, and to help make this a beautiful community where we can communicate and uplift one another on our journey to know more about astrology. So we're going to be looking at Jupiter transiting through the houses. But first, let's look at a little bit about Jupiter itself as a planet. There's so much to know about Jupiter. What a fantastic planet, and it's such a joy and a thrill and a delight to be talking about Jupiter, stepping into Jupiter energy, because he is known as, in astrology, the great benefic, bringing benefit, bringing expansion, bringing growth, bringing abundance into our lives wherever he sits in the chart, in the natal chart. But as I said, in this instance, we're looking at transits and the benevolence that he brings, where that's going to be felt and experienced more according to transits. But let's start by looking at Jupiter. Well, Jupiter is a magnetizer. If you think about Jupiter out there in the actual outer space, Jupiter energy draws things in. It's got this massive magnetic field for a start, and it also it attracts objects around it into its gravitational pull. So it's this massive planet, and it is quite literally a magnetizer, draws things to it out there in space, and the same energy is represented by Jupiter in astrology as well. So when it transits a house or a sign, and we're using whole sign astrology with this, where each sign represents a house, it will draw things to it of the nature of that sign or that house. It will magnetize those things, pull those things in, and make them manifest more in the life of the individual. And the life of the collective as well, I might add too. As I said, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system, and it is therefore very effectual. Jupiter very nearly became a second sun in the formation of our solar system millions of years ago, and would have entered into therefore a binary system with our actual sun, or maybe one of them might have gobbled the other up, who knows, but Jupiter didn't quite get there. It didn't quite have the oomph that it took. But nonetheless, Jupiter is massive, and he functions very much in the nature of a benevolent sun in our chart, bringing confidence and bringing illumination to things. And because of his mass, his energy, his energetic output, as I said, he has this monstrous magnetosphere that reaches out into the zone of Saturn, actually. It crosses into Saturn's orbit. And because of this influence of Jupiter that is so expansive, quite literally in the skies and figuratively in astrology as well, the effects of Jupiter are far-reaching and very, very influential. Jupiter is expansive in astrology, as goes with the idea and the nature of as above, so below, and him being the biggest planet, the most expansive planet, his energy in our lives is very expansive as well. In fact, he is so big that you could fit 1,300 Earth-size balls inside of Jupiter. 1,300. It's a phenomenal thought, difficult to get our head around, really. Not only that, you could actually fit every single other planet in the solar system into Jupiter all at once. Go figure, he's enormous. So he brings expansion with his transits and with his natal placement as well. He brings abundance as well. He brings enthusiasm. He brings opportunities. He brings, as I said before, confidence. He brings also a sense of morality to an area of our life wherever he's transiting. He brings a need for ethics to wherever he's transiting. And he brings a sense of adventure and, what could I experience now? What can this do for me? How can I utilize this? What can I learn about this? He brings that energy to the area of the chart that he's transiting as well. Jupiter rules being charitable, generosity, giving, and he will bring this character of benevolence into whatever area of your chart that he happens to be transiting. You will feel more benevolent, more charitable and feel like giving to that area of your life in greater capacity. Jupiter is also very forward-looking. And so his transit to a certain area of our house will give us more of a forward-looking approach to the themes of that house. He allows us, he's actually a planet that connects to prophecy, and he allows us to gain a glimpse of the potential, of the future possibilities of a house. He gives us the chance to extend and expand beyond our current limits in a certain area or realm of life that is connected to the house in which he's transiting. One of my favorite mantras that I use frequently is I expand to meet my destiny. This is my mantra when I practice yoga and do all sorts of other things in life, and I remind myself I can expand and become big enough to embrace the destiny that the universe has for me, the highest vibrational good that is represented in my chart. So if you're feeling limited or blocked in a certain area, certain realm of life, just wait till Jupiter gets to that section of your chart and watch the blossoming occur. Watch yourself expand beyond the limits you perceived that were around you. The blockages, the restrictions in a certain area can be absolutely sort of pushed out. The boundaries are expanded for you to experience more blessing, more abundance, more prosperity in a certain area. How this works is that Jupiter has a connection to our visioning processes, our dreaming. Like Jupiter in ancient astrology rules the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is all about our dreams and daydreams, night dreams, all that sort of thing. So Jupiter has a connection to the governance of our visioning, of our dreams, of our imagination, and our intuition. So it's our intuition and our imaginative visioning processes when we sit on the couch on a nice spring afternoon with a cup of, Earl Grey tea, and we're looking out the window dreaming about what we'd like our life to look like, who we want to be, how we'd really like it to work out for us. That begins the process of expansion. Because it's in those processes of trusting our intuition and tapping into our imagination and our visioning, processes that we begin a shift of energy within us. And that's when the old Hermetic principle of as within, so without starts to work for us. When we change our inner being, then we start to see external circumstances change to reflect that shift in energy within us. And Jupiter does his work on that inner level. He is also an externally manifesting planet, but he begins by working on this inner level, creating a higher vibration for us through allowing us to feel more abundance, more joy, more optimism, more joviality. The word jovial comes from the word Jupiter, actually. And it's through this inner change in our levels of optimism and abundance consciousness that then we begin to see the manifestation happen in reality. And we start to see our outer circumstances change. And Jupiter begins that process when he transits a house, by lifting our vibrational level in our inner world to be able to receive on the outer world. Now, Jupiter is named after the ancient Roman god, king of the gods actually, in mythology. And there's an association with Thor in Norse mythology. There's an association with Zeus in Greek mythology. And there's an association with Marduk in the ancient Babylonian mythology as well. So that he has links to all those energies of being the supreme god or governor over all, or the one top authority, top dog, so to speak. And because of that, he actually rules in astrology lawmakers, judges, legal systems, higher levels of knowledge, places of learning that are of that higher level, universities and colleges. He also governs things like religion and belief systems, long distance travels, not just short little trips, but the big, we're talking Jupiter, his big travels overseas or to other, countries that are far away. He governs other cultural practices and other cultural beliefs. Like Jupiter represents other cultures in general. And he also is a representation of higher knowledge from the divine realms. And it's this that makes him the Lord of intuition, the angel on our shoulder giving us wisdom and guidance in our journey, the guru as he's known in Vedic astrology. Jupiter is referred to as guru, and there's a very good reason for that, because he gives this wisdom, he gives this knowledge. He is the wise, angel on our shoulder. Now, this is a spring series that I am preparing. It's spring in Australia when I'm launching this series. If you're watching it at different times of the year, it'll be a different season, obviously. But in Australia, it is spring at the moment, which I thought was a perfect time to be doing a series on Jupiter and his transits, because spring is about growth. Spring is about the expansion, the blossoming, and very much the abundant nature of Jupiter represented in spring. But Jupiter actually rules the colors purple and orange. And as you can see, I'm wearing a purple cardigan with my spring attire here, and there's purple flowers all over my dress. Also, if you look behind me, I've decorated part of my house with a lot of purple and orange. There's an orange door there and a purple painting and so on, because I really want to channel the energy of Jupiter in my home. I myself am a very highly Jupiterian person, and so I really want to bring that energy in, and Jupiter governs these things. Jupiter rules the crystals lapis lazuli and malachite, according to the research that I have done. There's some varying opinions around that, but this is malachite. I don't have any lapis lazuli on me at the moment, but I will be getting more. Lapis lazuli was often used, and possibly malachite as well, in ancient Egyptian jewelry and tomb decorations, and so it was attributed to the pharaohs, or not attributed to the pharaohs, but it had connections to this leadership element in ancient Egypt. It was only the wealthy, only the prosperous, only the pharaohs and their families that were able to enjoy the luxuries of lapis lazuli and malachite. And of course, Jupiter has these associations with abundance and with wealth and with the lawgivers and leaders. Jupiter's day is Thursday. Now, those of you who are familiar with how the days of the week got their names will know that it comes from the Norse Thor's day. And we've already said Jupiter has an affiliation with Thor. Jupiter's day that he rules of the week is Thursday, Thor's day. Now, because of all these wonderful things that Jupiter governs, and we're going to talk about a few more of those in just a minute, but because he rules abundance, because he rules wealth, because he rules a certain type of leadership, that inspirational figure, that lawmaker, that religious leader, that spiritual leader, that divinely inspired leader, because Jupiter rules these things, wherever Jupiter sits in your chart is where you're going to be able to channel and receive more abundance, more wealth, more opportunity, more good fortune, more prosperity. All these things that Jupiter rules will come into the house where your Jupiter sits in the natal chart. But that's a series for another day when we look at Jupiter through the houses in the natal chart. We're looking at transiting Jupiter in this series. So a bit more about the things that Jupiter rules. Let me read this list to you. He rules children, he rules wealth, he rules belief systems, he rules the blood, he rules the veins, he also rules the hips, and the ability to move forward in life is obviously connected to our ability to utilize our hips. So Jupiter also governs our capacity and our ability to move forward in life as well. Jupiter rules everything from sort of accommodation of a very high level, or public buildings of a very high level, universities, but things like castles, cathedrals, casinos are all ruled by Jupiter. And not that casinos are of a high level, but there is the element of luck and wealth and prosperity that's sort of associated with casinos that gives Jupiter the rulership of casinos. But the belief systems around cathedrals and ashrams and the buildings that govern our belief systems, or that connect with our belief systems, Jupiter rules those, as well as the high level places where we reside, castles and estates and things like that of a very high nature, high caliber. He rules etiquette, he rules manners. In a woman's chart, Jupiter rules husbands, and generally he rules beautiful things like joy and happiness. If we want to know where we can feel the most joy and happiness in life, look to where your Jupiter sits in your natal chart or where Jupiter's transiting. You know you'll be able to generate more joy in that area, more happiness. Jupiter rules devotion, being devoted to something or someone. At a perhaps not so pleasant level, Jupiter rules obesity. He is, after all, the largest planet in the solar system. He's big. And if you have Jupiter placed in the first house, he can usually, in the natal chart, he can make you taller than average, but you've got to watch your weight in later age because you can tend to spread out and become very Jupiter-like in the way you look, very round in the middle. In fact, Jupiter as a planet bulges in the middle due to his rotational speed and gravitational pull and all that sort of thing that affects the shape of Jupiter, and he bulges out in the middle. So when we have Jupiter in the first house, we do have to be very careful of bulging out in the middle at some point in life. Hence, I have to watch what I eat. So Jupiter rules beautiful things as well, like benevolence, philanthropy, get my words out, and prayer. So these are glorious things that Jupiter rules. And these are only a few of the areas of life that you might notice Jupiter influencing through his transits or through your natal chart placement as well. There's just masses of things, as is befitting to the nature of a very big planet. There's a very big list of things that Jupiter governs in our lives, but there's just a few. Now, Jupiter is at his most powerful in fire and water signs. So when he's in the earth signs or the air signs, it's not that he doesn't bring, beneficial results. He's just a little bit lackluster. He doesn't have the oomph. He doesn't have the, ta-da kind of capacity that he would in water or fire signs. He's just a little bit ta-da, the energy is not quite the same, not quite as full. He is especially strong in Sagittarius, which he rules, Pisces, which is the other sign that he rules in traditional astrology, ancient astrology, and he is especially strong where he is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So if you are experiencing a transit of Jupiter to Pisces, Sagittarius, or Cancer at some time in life, then you're going to experience more of his benevolence in a very ta-da kind of way because of the strength of Jupiter in these signs. Jupiter has a natural affiliation with the ninth house, the most the most lucky house in astrology, the most blessed house in astrology, the ninth house, and Jupiter has a natural affiliation to that house. He also has a natural affiliation to the 12th house, which is, interestingly enough, one of the malefic houses in Vedic astrology. But Jupiter has an affiliation to that because of his governance of the sign Pisces, which has all this 12th house energy. So Jupiter is very comfortable when he's in the 12th house or the 9th house. But Jupiter is actually has his strongest directional strength and greatest effect in either the first house, particularly the first house. That's where Jupiter has his greatest directional strength or gives the strongest influence for good. But there is also a strong influence of Jupiter when he's in the 10th house. This is where Jupiter does his best work, in the first house or the 10th house. So if you're experiencing that by transit as well, you're going to experience a lot more of the blessing, especially if you happen to have Sagittarius, Pisces, or Cancer as your first or 10th house and Jupiter's transiting there. Hang on to your hats, it's going to be fun. Now, wherever Jupiter is transiting is where you can actually contribute most to society. And this is because Jupiter is charitable, Jupiter is generous, Jupiter is a philanthropist, Jupiter is a benefic, he brings benefit. So you yourself can be these energies or give these energies to the world and your role on the planet. So, Jupiter might be transiting, for example, the 5th house. So you can give your benefit, your charity, your philanthropy to children, because that is where the energy is of benevolence and generosity is being directed by transit. Also consider that in your natal placement of Jupiter as well, where you can be the most generous and give, in a very benevolent, philanthropic way, wherever Jupiter sits in your natal chart also. So without further ado, let's go in now and have a look at where Jupiter is transiting and how it might affect you. So how do we find out if Jupiter is transiting through our second house or not? Well, the first thing I'd recommend to do is to pop over to a website named planetwatcher.com, and it shows exactly where the planets are at the moment you look up that chart. And so therefore you'll be able to see which sign Jupiter falls in, whereabouts in the horoscope he's currently sitting at that moment. Now, as I'm recording this, Jupiter is heading towards the end of the sign of Capricorn. And so very soon he's going to be changing into Aquarius. But we're going to use Capricorn as the example in this instance. If Jupiter is in Capricorn and we're looking for Jupiter's transit through the second house, then we would need to be Sagittarius rising in order for Jupiter to be falling in the second house in Whole Sign Astrology. As you can see, house 1, house 2, second house. And that's how easy it is, folks. So if you know your rising sign, then that is going to tell you where Jupiter is by comparison. So for example, if you are Sagittarius rising and you happen to be watching this video in about 4 years' time, Jupiter takes 1 year to move through each sign. So 1 year through Capricorn, 2 years through Aquarius, 3 years through Pisces, 4 years he'll be in the sign of Aries. Well, if you're Sagittarius rising, that is going to be the 5th house from your rising sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th house. And so you would be looking at the video of Jupiter through the 5th house, and that would be the video you would need to watch for that moment in time. So I hope that helps clear things up. You need to know where Jupiter is right now and where that particular sign happens to fall in your own natal chart. So you need to know your rising sign. We're using whole sign astrology here. But we're going to go with where Jupiter currently is sitting. I don't know why I did that because it's a bit wobbly. What I might do is put Jupiter in Aquarius, just to confuse everybody. And that makes Capricorn the rising sign. Jupiter will be in Aquarius. I'm recording this in 2020. Jupiter will be in Aquarius throughout 2021. So we're going to use that as an illustration just because my board likes to wobble a bit at the Capricorn rising, at the Sagittarius rising degree. So we've figured out how to work out if we have Jupiter in our second house. What does it mean for us if this is what we're experiencing? And it's going to last for a year. So remember, Jupiter takes a year to go through each sign. So this is the house of self-worth and material abundance. And so we're going to feel a bit more optimistic about our material abundance and our material circumstances in life. And we're also going to experience a lot more self-love and love for self and delight in self and joy that comes from our self because of this transit. House of self-worth, the idea of self-worth, the feeling of self-worth, the energy of self-worth is going to be increased and expanded in us. So it's again the energy of as within, so without. That's an old Hermetic principle. The way I feel within me influences what happens externally in my life. So the more positive energy you can generate, the higher vibrational energy you can generate, the more blessing you're going to have in your life. And when Jupiter is in the second house, this can draw in financial gains. So if you can increase your sense of self-worth, increase your inner sense of life is abundant, life is good, there's more than enough for me, there is enough for everyone. If you have this sense of inner abundance, just watch. Your external material circumstances will reflect that through Jupiter's transit through the second house. So it's a time that you can magnetize. Remember, Jupiter is a magnetizer. Draw in material gains. Draw in material blessings in life. More prosperity, more, maybe you collect first edition novels and you might get a chance to buy 10 new first edition novels this year that really mean something to you. Or maybe you might get a chance to this is the house of acquiring things and keeping things and having collections. Maybe you get the chance to add a brand new 1958 Corvette to your collection of classic cars, if you should be so lucky to have one of those. Then, that can happen for you this year. Add something really magical to your collection of whatever it happens to be under this energy, and you can draw in these material gains because Jupiter in the house of material gains and acquisitions. You're going to feel like you're getting somewhere materially in life with this. Jupiter expands the chances for making more material prosperity and abundance, and it expands the chances for experiencing more material prosperity and abundance as well. You're going to feel like, oh, I'm really getting ahead. Finally, I've paid off that mortgage now, or I can pay out that car loan, or now I'm really on top of things. Things are organized. Things are, I can breathe financially at last. That kind of energy that comes with Jupiter through the second. The second house is the house of our personal values and the things that are dear to us, that mean something to us, that are significant to us, things even aside from materiality. So, what do we value? What do we treasure? Maybe we value our family. Maybe we value our social connections, our friendships. Maybe we value doing good in the world and helping the world be a better place because we were here on the planet. Maybe we value beauty in our surroundings. All different things. What are your values? When Jupiter's moving through here, it's a really good question to ask. What do you value in life? And so it's the growth of our personal values that happens. Jupiter brings growth. And so growth of your personal values, growth of the things that mean something to you. So maybe it might mean that your connection with your family becomes stronger this year. If that's what your value is, family is important, that the family unit becomes really tight, really strong, really abundant under this energy. Maybe you value your pets. So you might get the chance to bond more with your pets this year, or maybe you value, anything at all. Whatever you value, it's going to grow, it's going to multiply, it's going to expand for you this year. You can experience not only the blessings in the physical realm, but the feeling within of being safe and secure in the world as well. This is the house of feeling safe and secure. It sits opposite the 8th house of feeling like the rug's about to be pulled out from under you any minute. And so the second house in that sense is beautiful. We all like to feel like, we're safe, nothing's going to go wrong, everything's good. That feeling, that energy increases this year. Now, often we feel safe and secure because our material needs are met. And that's why the second house is very important. It sits underneath the first house. It supports the body's journey through life. So when our material needs are met, we tend to sort of breathe a little bit. Okay, life is safe, life is secure, everything is good. And Jupiter can bring about both eventualities. You can either feel more material or experience more material abundance, and you will, even if you don't experience material abundance, you can feel more safe and secure. Like, everything's going to be okay. It's all just going to work out. Beautiful energy, beautiful transit. If you're the kind of person who has fears about, I'm not good enough, or I don't have enough, fears about poverty, fears about lack, fears about the rug being pulled out from under you in some crisis or some manner, then this transit can decrease those fears. It can wipe them away, It may not alleviate them completely. Depends on your chart, your natal chart, whether you have a propensity to feel like the rug's going to be pulled out from under you or not. But generally, those feelings will lessen, and you'll be more, as I said, at peace, feeling safe, feeling secure. Now, I began by saying that this is a transit that can increase your sense of self-worth and self-valuing, how you see yourself. And again, as within, so without, what you experience inside you about, I am worthy, I am, so deserving of all the good things in life. If that's the zone you go into through Jupiter's benevolent energy, then your external circumstances will tend to reflect that as well, with more safety and security in your external environment, as well as more material solidness too. Any investments that you make, this is a house of investments, business dealings, getting a raise, getting a pension, these sorts of things, where receipt of money to support your journey through life, whatever way that comes to you, can prove to be abundant and lucrative now and expand. So you might get a raise, or you might suddenly get approval for a pension of some sort, or you might find that some investment goes really, really well for you under this energy. So blessing, hello, thank you, Jupiter. Now, in the Hindu system, when Jupiter is making in the second house, he's making an aspect to all the other modalities that are the same as the modality he is in. In this case, we're looking at Aquarius, which is an air sign, but it could be water, could be fire, could be earth, depending on what sign it is that Jupiter's currently in. So in that sense, Jupiter in the second house will be aspecting the 10th house, and he'll be also aspecting the 6th house. And Jupiter also aspects every planet in the Vedic system, aspects the house opposite it, in this case aspecting the 8th house. So what have we got going on here? Well, when Jupiter is going through the second house in the Hindu system, this is the area, the second house rules domestic life and our education. So the domestic life that you experience might be more joyful now, might be more peaceful now, might be more expansive in some way now and bring you a lot more happiness, your domestic life. And in fact, your educational life, where you're going to learn something and the teaching that you're receiving, it can really flourish. You might be really enjoying learning something under this energy in the Hindu system, of course. You might even go back to study. You might go back to university to get a degree or something like that, or might get a certificate in something under this energy. Good to study astrology. Do one of my webinars under this energy. So it's also the aspect to the 6th house means it's really good for your work life because Jupiter is a benevolent energy. And in the 6th house, although it's a malefic house, it's going to be expanding your ability to work, ability to put in a good day's work and get lots done and be efficient and productive, to notice the any sort of things that need fixing around you and to resolve them. Those energies of the 6th house can be blessed through Jupiter's aspect. Jupiter also aspecting the 8th house can mean, you might end up managing other people's money in some way under this trans. You might find that you might receive an inheritance or some kind of a legacy that's left to you through the 8th house, which rules inheritances, wills, legacies. It's connected to the stock market as well. So there can be some windfalls that come your way with Jupiter's aspect to the 8th house. Nice. Loans are also seen from the 8th house, and loans can be easier to get under this transit. So if you've been looking for a new house or a new car or a business loan or something, Jupiter in the 2nd house, you'll be fine. It'll be easier to find a loan to support the journey. And also the aspect to the 10th house in this case. Well, this means increased worldly success, increased visibility out in the public realm, career enhancement, raises in profile in your career environment, like promotions and recognition that happen for you through the aspect of Jupiter positively benefiting the house of worldly achievements in that way. So it's all good. Thank you, Jupiter. Jupiter moves through every house like once every 12 years. So it's actually, you can plan, to utilize the Jupiter energy wherever he currently is. If you are seeing, just say, Jupiter's in your 12th house, in 2 years' time, Jupiter's going to be in the 2nd house. You know what? I'll make some investments now while Jupiter's somewhere else in the horoscope. And I know by the time Jupiter gets to, in a few years' time, by the time Jupiter gets to my 2nd, those investments are going to pay off for me. Winner, winner. So you can plan to work with Jupiter energy to your benefit, to your advantage, knowing where he's going to be in the horoscope and what benefits he brings when he's in a certain house. In this case, the 2nd house can bring you more abundance and prosperity and money, more of the tangible assets that support our body's journey. So great time for planning to increase those things, or to do a renovation, or to grow your collection of something, or make some new investments. You can really work with this energy to your advantage. So do so. Thanks very much, and do check out my other videos all about Jupiter through the houses so that you can work with this energy to your best advantage in the future.